and wisdom. And that's going to be a lot of information sharing, and it's going to be a lot of emotional sharing. And more than anything, we just want heavy shoulders to be a little bit lighter as we walk forward further together. And we're going to continue to hold space, in the coming days as we grapple with what's all that's happened. And we don't need to make sense of it right now. We can rest, and I hope everyone is deciding to rest. I know every single one of you all on this call and others that are still traveling today have put so much towards this movement, and we're not going anywhere. And we're just gonna strengthen the bonds that you've connected with people that you met along the way, and remind each other that there is a future out there that is ours to hold. And we'll all get there together. So thank you for spending the next hour or so with us. Thank you for helping to build Common Power. Thank you for being in Common Power. Thank you for bringing people into Common Power. And every single one of you have had power and has power to be able to sustain this movement. Although long, we're going to be here together, and we're going to do this work together. Right, September?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Larcy. Are you two good wherever you are now, Larcy?
Yes, I'm actually taking my mom back home to Tacoma so I can get my dog, and we're gonna go home and do all sorts of cuddles, and I'm gonna finally cook dinner for once in a while, and just have, like I said, just a normal evening and back to some normalcy as we figure out what settles in our hearts and in our minds, and then we regroup.
Thank you so much, Larcy. Everybody, I'm David, and I'm gonna kind of set up the rest of the hour. Thanks for coming tonight. We had arranged several weeks ago a series that we called The Final Stretch. It's been about time, it's been about treasure, and man, this community has stepped up incredibly. We set some days on the calendar. We had a couple Wednesdays, and then we had last night, election night Zoom, and then tonight right now, and then tomorrow we have our regularly first Thursday of the month scheduled meeting, a community meeting, community gathering. So we're going to invite you all to come to that too, if you can. And we'll record this one, and we are right now, and we'll record that one too for people who want to join but aren't able to come at that time. So what we're going to do here, or what we want to do here, is have a few folks share some thoughts, and then open it up to the community to process. We're not where we want to be, but neither are we completely bereft of a path forward. All right, and so we are an organization that can handle difficulty. And when you work in the political space, you've got to be able to handle that, because people make decisions. And the great strength and the great weakness of democracy is that people make decisions, okay? And sometimes they make choices that are fundamentally damaging and bad for many people, and even themselves. And that's clearly what's happened here. But the choice has been made, and we're going to not for a moment blink. But we will probably be very creative and strategic as we go forward, because we want to do some things that we're doing exactly as we are right now, and then we want to do some things in new ways and thoughtful ways. Tonight's not the night to unpack those pieces. Tonight's just the night for us to be in community. So, Larcy, I wanted to come back to you to start us with. Larcy, how are you feeling, and what are your thoughts as you wake up and you fly back from Arizona this morning, after your work there, you fly back with September and your mother, who had gone with you in order to be there to help take care of September. What are your thoughts at this moment?
The day started out super hopeful. There were signs that I saw that looked like a promising day, and people reaffirmed those, like a pink sunset after the last turf had hit, their 100th door of the hour. Just other things to keep the hope and momentum alive. And as soon as the day kind of progressed, it kind of slowly disappeared. But regardless, I still remained hopeful, and I got September ready, and we went to the Arizona, Dem party. And so we had these matching Kamala bright pink shirts that we were proud to wear. And we were walking the Dem, the kind of like the Dem hall. It was like in the Hilton somewhere. And I just wanted her to experience it. I didn't want her to feel like this was something that she could never get to or to not be a participant of. So we stayed there for about an hour, said hi to a few people. I really wanted to talk to Mark Kelly, but unfortunately we didn't get reunited this time around. But there's a side story on that if anybody's really curious as to why. And after that, we left and we went to the Lucha party. And as soon as the night progressed, things just looked like it was not going to happen our way. And I still remained hopeful. I was on the phone with Blossom and Kyra, because they needed a little bit of a hopeful pour. And I said, I'm still hopeful, and I'm still hopeful. And I think that's my superpower, and also maybe my Achilles heel, because I still remain hopeful up until, because I always try to remind myself there's something here that we could work with. So I still walk away with that, but I'm also not going to lie and feel that I'm just devastated. I'm devastated of what the decisions are going to be for the people in our country that are highly at risk of continued abuse and exploitation. And that being women, and that being poor people, that being marginalized people, that is a continuation of a group of people that are just going to get continuously left out. And those are the people I hold dear to my heart. And I know personally, and I have been in contact with them. They're my family, they're my friends. So those are the people I actually grieve for. Now, I know I won't be here forever, and I know that I will find a way to get the information I need to continue to move forward, which I will. It's only been 24 hours. Talk to me in a week and see how I'm feeling. And that's how we're going to be with all of you. We're going to check in. We're going to see how you're all doing and how we get past these next set of days together. But right now I'm in a mixed space, but I know I want to be there for all of you. I want to hold on to the goodness that we created together. I want to hold on to the memories of the people y'all met at the doors. I want to hold on to the community that y'all created in every car group you were, in and out of. And that's what, to me, is the foundations of this movement. And that's what's going to get us to regroup. And that's what's going to decide on how we move forward.
Thanks, Larcy. What I think is a grounding piece for everybody who works at Common Power is that we have never been in this for one moment or one election. We have been in it for education and leadership development and action from the beginning. And that system of Common Power will be vibrant and serve us very, very well going forward. And we're 100% committed to that. And we're excited. Even that is a good word, I think, excited about what comes next, because we did get some clarity last night. We got some clarity about who this country is. And as I said on the podcast today, my 17-year-old son said to me this morning, He said, Dad, I think this says more about the country than it does about Trump. And I think that's a truth that we'll carry with us going forward. Been fortunate from the beginning to work with a couple folks who are the directors, Larcy and Charles Douglas and Dr. Terry Ann Scott. The four of us are directors. Charles, executive director of Common Power. And we're here tonight. We're going to be here tomorrow. There isn't a shift in that at all. And we're already in conversation about pathways or things to think about. As I said, tonight is a chance for this period of time for us just to be together and to hear each other and to ideally hear some wisdom and pieces of inspiration. So I want to bring in now, ask Charles to come in now. Charles is going to come in. Larcy's in Seattle, started the day in Arizona. Charles is in Pennsylvania. And then Dr. Terry is here from Maryland too. So let's have a few words from everybody, and then we're going to open it up a little bit too. So Charles, you got it.
Hey everybody. Where are you guys at? I just want to see my little girl.
Swipe, man. Swipe over, swipe right into the phone now, wherever you are.
Hey, baby. Hey. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay. Say hi, Daddy. Hi, Daddy.
Hey, baby. Hey, I know we haven't talked yet, but I want to tell you did good work, okay?
I cannot see you.
You cannot see me?
Yeah.
I'm one of these little squares, okay?
Little square.
You can hear me?
I cannot see you. Wait. She wants to see your face, Mom.
Okay, listen.
On. Technical difficulties here, people. She can hear you, so go ahead.
Good.
What is
Hey, you did good work out there, okay?
Okay.
You did good work knocking on doors, okay?
Okay. Where is that? Okay.
I'm in Pennsylvania. Hey,
I
let me
cannot see your face.
That's okay. You can hear me.
I cannot see your face.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
What?
You want to knock on doors again?
Yeah. There's Daddy.
Huh?
Yeah.
You want to knock on doors again?
Yeah.
You want to keep going?
I never give up. Oh, yeah.
All right, baby. That's right. I'll see you soon, okay?
Let's keep going. Say it again. Let's keep going.
You got to keep going?
Yeah.
No matter what, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's my girl.
But what are you going to come back?
I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you soon.
But,
That's it right there, y'all. What time is it? We can end the Zoom right here. I'm ready to go. That's all I needed. September Rose is 4 years old. And has spent the past few days knocking on doors for Kamala Harris with Mom. She was out with Grandma and with me for a day and with her two brothers. And she's ready to keep going. She's ready to keep going. So if she's ready to keep going, I'm ready to keep going. As far as I'm concerned, that's all I need right there. I miss everybody. It's been incredibly isolating to be out here. And knowing that everyone's traveling home and that I can't be with everybody. I keep having these visions of when we get back to Seattle, I want to open the office up and just invite people in because I want to be with the folks in Seattle. we did the podcast today. We talked a lot about what's coming, possibly, what we think we know. But I'm ready to just learn about this country that feels like it's brand new to me. I'm ready to gain some humility and be reintroduced to this place that we call home. But I don't want to do it alone. So we're going to have this Zoom tomorrow, and we're going to do more of these. David and I have been thinking about it, but yeah, I need y'all. I need all of y'all. Virtually, in person, whatever you could do to help get through this. And my little girl's going to need y'all too. She was born the day school shut down for COVID in Seattle. I remember Larcy pacing back and forth and trying to have the baby. And I had her fill out her ballot because it was the primary day. It was primary day in Washington State. So we were voting while Larcy was giving birth to a child that was born into COVID. And as she got old enough, the only experience that she had with people outside of our pod was you all on Zooms. That was it. And so you all mean a lot to her. Even if you weren't there in 2020, if you take up a square on the screen, then you mean something to that little girl back there. And she learned how to knock on doors and how to tell people to vote for Kamala Harris. She learned that from listening to y'all on Zoom. And she does it really well. She's really good at it. So she needs y'all. Whether she knows it or not, she needs y'all. So let's keep going, y'all. Let's do this. David.
Charles, first of all, let's you're in Pennsylvania tonight because you were in Pennsylvania after 4 days of a final travel schedule that started in Arizona, I believe Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, or some order like that. And you're a normal human thing would be to want to come back as quickly as possible to be with your loved ones and to be there with them in the midst of this. I know that today, spending some time with my wife and son has been meaningful to me. But you made a decision today to stay in Pennsylvania all day and to fly back tomorrow morning because you weren't going to be able to fly today and make it to this Zoom. All right. And that's the kind of leadership decision that is a very, very, very small one in the bucket of an organization and a bucket of life, but it's one that's a very revealing decision about your leadership and about this organization. So I want to ask you I want to thank you. I want to say thank you and also ask you what's your thinking behind that? Why was that so important? And then Miss Faye, I want to come to you. Okay.
Yes, and then definitely go to Miss Faye. Between Miss Faye and September, that could be the whole show. Yeah, I think I mentioned this on the podcast, but it's not an either or to me. I feel like when you love what you do, you bring the people that you love into the work. You bring your loved ones into the work, and then you also make loved ones out of the people that you work with. I don't think that there's a line there. I think that's false. So I treat it as one thing. So the way I see the community is that because my family is a part of the community, if I take care of the community, then y'all will take care of my family. That's the way I see that. So it was a tough choice. but it was pretty simple for me. I feel like I was taking care of both by being on this call instead of flying home as fast as I could. Yeah, I also know that Larcy's a hell of a mom, and just like she helped us to take care of the young organization in 2019 that we launched, and get it stood up and supported. You know, she's going to do that with the people we love.
Okay. Doctor, I want to come to you, Faye, but first I just want to check in with Dr. Terry Scott. Terry, are you out there?
I am. Good evening.
Great. Terry, Charles, Larcy, and myself are the 4 directors for this organization. Charles, the executive director of those 4. How are you tonight, Terry?
I think it depends in some ways in the moment. Better than I was this morning. Devastated this morning, and devastated at the idea that continuously in 2016 and then 2020 and now 2024, that, I mean, to Sam's point, your son, it's the person, yes, but it's about the constituents. It was devastating to know that there were so many people who now really know him. He's revealed himself in so many different ways, and who said, I'm okay with this. I align with those racist, misogynistic, homophobic type of values that he espouses. That's painful. And it's painful, especially as a woman of color, to think about that in terms of the idea of ignoring my humanity and the humanity of marginalized populations, and to say that that's okay. That is a painful reality to exist in when we spend so much of our lives trying to open the hearts and minds of people. And so that's tough. And it's like falling over a log. But, you know, rarely in my life, not even rarely, never, ever, ever, ever in my life have I fallen and stayed down. So that's not going to happen now. And so we get up and we keep going, because if we don't, then that is exactly what those who seek to harm us want us to do. They want us to give up. They want us to relinquish any kind of resolve and power. And we're not going to do that. We never have. You know, we regroup, we figure things out, and we keep moving forward, because the policies that are put into place, the kinds of things that we assuredly will see, there was a rise in hate crimes when he was in office. We may probably see those kinds of things again. But we also know that we can create difference. And, you know, I sent out a message earlier and we're getting messages back. And one of them said, right now I'm holding on to the foot soldiers you all have taught us about. And that's exactly right. We have to hold space for that in our hearts and our minds, to understand what people sacrificed before us and how they existed and how they continue to push forward. And then that gives us courage and an understanding that we can continue to push forward and create change.
Thanks, Terry. I wanted to ask you, just because I want to add, because I want it to become very clear to everybody that this is very close and personal to you, both in terms of identities and also in terms of professional work. You mentioned to me that Moms for Liberty candidates are likely going to win the school board in your town of Frederick. They're going to get, not a majority yet, but they're getting closer. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, just to because I want to put the very, very fine point on how close this comes to every one of us.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, first of all, I have 3 daughters, and one of them is just a freshman in the local high school. And so as a parent, that is impactful. And so we have one Moms for Liberty backed candidate on the school board right now, rendered essentially powerless to a large degree because it's just one person. We have 2 more who are right now ahead, who will probably join that school board, and that will make it 3. And if they continue, and so now they become disruptive, they become an entity. And if it continues on that path, they could become the majority. One of the things that they have placed on their platform as an immediate thing that they vow to do is to get rid of an African American studies class that I helped create and led in the creation of and implemented in the Frederick County Public Schools. It's an elective. It is an elective that you can take in 11th grade. And that is one of the things that they are seeking to destroy, in addition to book bans and removing children's ability to self-identify and tell and have people respect how they identify. So yeah, I think it hits close to home for so many of us. And when we see the kinds of results that we see, and then the legislators who are being put in, then it fuels them and empowers them. I'm happy to be in Maryland right now, because Maryland has at least some wins. We won Angela Alsobrooks, the first Black woman to be a senator from the state of Maryland. Wes Moore is only the third Black governor ever elected in this country, ever. It looks like Delaney may make it into the House. We said yes to Proposition 1, which enshrined the right to reproductive rights for women in the state. So, you know, we did some good things. And I think we also have to focus on our ability to have made those kinds of changes as well. But that's the state of the school board here. So, you know, I might have to run next year. So enough is enough.
Uh-oh. Is this being recorded? You all heard that, right? What's this? 189 people. 189 people heard that. And one of them lives in Maryland. So they're going to go tell people now.
Well, I know I have a community that'll knock on doors for me.
Don't play with me, Terry. I want to say one thing that is really cool about this moment, and I knew it was going to happen after the election regardless, but the necessity to pull in these two very talented women into the forefront, who are not a part of fieldwork proper, but are a part of the leadership of this organization, Terry and Larcy. It is such a cool moment that some of you are entering into, because some of you just joined us because we do a hell of a job knocking on doors. And what you're going to find now is all the other cool stuff is CP. You're going to learn about the Institute for Common Power and all of the very cool things that it does. The reason why you have K through 12 educators that are out with us, the learning tours that they put on, the virtual lectures that Terry's team and guests put on. Two very cool ones coming up here soon. I'm gonna let you talk about, Terry. And then Action Academy that Larcy created, that is responsible for all of these college students that you see out in the field and leadership. A third of our staff, our full-time staff members, are from Action Academy. Common Power is, like, you saw the beginning. You saw like a piece of how cool we can be when we're, you know, knocking on doors. Terry and Larcy, buckle up, because you're about to see a whole other part of this wonderful organization, and it's going to help to sustain you as well. Terry, you want to talk about the two events that are coming up, the two big ones?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking about it. So we have two events next week. One is with our very own Dr. Devin Geary, and she is going to do a workshop that is about identity and difference, dialogue for democracy across identity and difference. And I think it could be, you know, it's really timely, because it'll give everybody the ability to have the tools and understand how to talk to people who have different ideas about what it means to create an inclusive democracy. And so that is next week, and it's free. The second lecture that we have, and I just want to get the exact title, is by Dr. Hassan Jeffries, who is Representative Hakeem Jeffries' brother. He's a professor at Ohio State University. He's a friend and a friend of the Institute. He does a lot of incredible work with us. And he's giving a lecture called "Where Do We Go From Here? Fighting for Democracy After the 2024 Election." Both of those are free lectures. Next week, in just a moment, I'm going to drop the links for both of them for you to register in the chat. And that's what we try to do. We inspire, we come together, we provide you with the tools to be able to create change and to sustain you in the work that we're doing. And we're not going to delay. I mean, look, you have us, David and Charles, on a Zoom tonight, the same day as the election. You had it last night. We have these lectures set up for you next week. So I encourage you all to join those lectures.
Terry,
Yeah.
it just was asked, sorry, is it going to be recorded, Dr. Jeffries' lecture?
Yes, Dr. Jeffries' lecture will be recorded. So if you register, so you have to register and then you will receive the recording.
Okay.
So I'll drop that one in first.
And I mean, these are two big. So the dialogue series is part of our training. I think that's Devin's going deeper on that. Devin's on staff with us, and this is what she studied for her PhD. So you're going to get, if you like the training or you missed the training, you heard about the training, or you got a piece of it out in the field that they did live, her and Mary, you're going to get to see a deep dive behind how she built that, what her thought process is behind it, and get to talk to her. The other one, I mean, Dr. Jeffries, this isn't just somebody, we didn't just like Google him or find him through some contact. Like, this is a relationship that we have. He's been lecturing with us for a year and a half now. He's been down with us with our groups to Selma. He was with us in New York.
Florida.
He's with us in Florida. That's right, for the 24-hour teaching. This is somebody who we have a relationship with. And you'll find that just like field work, where we have real relationships with the organizers on the ground, the community organizations, we have real relationships with these speakers that are coming to talk to us. They're going to help us get it through. They buy in fully to what Common Power is doing and the system that we've built to help sustain us through times just like this.
There are times when we have contacted, I remember a time not long ago, David, when you were running a 24-hour conversation, and we contacted Dr. Jeffries a few hours before it started and said, can you join us just for a little bit tonight? And he said, absolutely. This is a man who is never at home because he's in such high demand and goes all over the country. But he believes, like Charles said, in our mission so much and the work that we're doing, that he's never said no to us, to anything we've asked him to come and join us, because he believes in what we're doing.
Yeah. So I'm excited to have this be revealed to y'all, because I think some people think that we're just political analysis, and they think maybe when you join these Zooms, it's going to be just a bunch of feelings and kumbaya stuff. And we do that too. We do it really well. But there's also a lot of learning that you're going to have access to, and maybe it's more than you thought you'd have. And then you'll see that the full cycle of how we feel that people should sustain their effort across years. And there's one person, David, that you're going to have come on next that is right in that through line, right?
Yeah, I wanted to. We've got two actually, Charles. Both on.
We got two.
We got two. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But Terry, I want to ask you to queue up our educators for democracy, because we got Miss Faye and Miss Shernita with us. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. So we do, with our Truth and Purpose Learning Tours, as some of you have gone on, we have a Truth and Purpose Learning Tour for educators. And we started that in October 2022 because we know what kind of pressure they are under across this country, and that's going to increase now. And we wanted to create a community, not only where they would learn true history to bring it back to their students, but they could do it in community. And what we didn't expect is they would become family with their cohorts. And so we do and we pay for everything. They pay for nothing. We make sure that we cover all, they could go on the journey with no money and everything's covered. They become, once they go through that journey, the Institute for Common Power Educator Ambassadors. And then they have access to a number of different initiatives that we call our Educator for Democracy initiatives. And that includes going to a symposium that we hold in our building in Selma, having access to grants so that they can create change in their communities, having monthly convenings with one another. If we have a course that costs money, they go for free forever. And so that is our commitment to supporting them. And fully, they are not required, mind you. When they get selected for the Truth and Purpose Learning Tour, the only thing they're supposed to give us is a lecture, a lesson plan that we make available on our website for free. No other requirements. Despite that, more than 1/3 of our educator ambassadors knock on doors with us. Not just once, some of them have gone on 6 trips this fall because they believe in the mission
I hear
and
now.
move to action.
Do you hear now?
We hear you.
We hear you. So 2 of those folks we asked them specifically to come tonight because they're valuable, but they're not the only 2 on this Zoom right now. There's several more. But Miss Faye, could you come on and just give us a little bit of your thoughts, please?
Getting her.
Hi, everybody. Tired. I haven't got much sleep, but that's okay. And I've just been crunching numbers all day to understand numerically. Most of you know I've got an engineering background on, okay, what are the numbers telling us? So then I'm like, we were close. And the work we did in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, it still worked because she only right now it's looking like she only lost Wisconsin by 30,000 votes.
Wow.
If Jill Stein wasn't there and the third parties weren't there, she'd have had Wisconsin. Michigan, 80,000 votes. And remember, there's millions of votes in those states. And then Pennsylvania, 130,000
It
votes.
stopped.
So we were close. We were close in spite of, you look at the large voting bloc were white voters. 71% of the voting bloc were white. And that's high. That's very high indexed from
That's
what
very high.
the
That's
from
higher
what
than it's been. Yeah.
yeah, it's a high number compared to the demographics of the United States. And
Yeah.
the majority of those
I hear.
were non-educated white folks
Do you hear?
who have a lot of grievances for whatever reason that don't feel very good about themselves. So they found someone to help them make them feel a little bit better about themselves. But in spite of that, we were close. We were close. So then I look at what is our multiracial coalition? What's our percentage? And from my calculation, we're like 49.77%. So we're close. So I think organizations will look at doing more targeting in battleground states, and that'll work in our favor. And I look at the black voting population in those battleground states, they were between like 60 and 65%. If we could get those to 70%, we win. So there's got to be more targeting to work on increasing the turnout in the Black community also in those battleground states. So there's still a lot of great work, and I think it's just more targeting that needs to be done.
And so
But our work shows, though. It does show.
I love that you have receded into the numbers.
I
Faye.
have to, so I don't hurt anybody or curse anybody out.
So tell us about the larger picture as you see it right now and how you understand the arc of change, please.
Well, first of all, we know, the challenge is because I think some groups of people are upset because the ethnic demographics of the country is changing. And so that's going to probably continue that way. So there's still a lot of opportunity to work in those battleground areas. And the college educated white votes in those battleground states went for her pretty strong. Get a few more percentages and then we're over the top. So just a little bit more targeting, and I think we're there. But in Michigan, 58% of college educated women voted for her. 51% of college educated white men voted for her. So the numbers were 50 something, 60 something percent, but their numbers are so much smaller than non-educated. And that's what drug it down because they just over indexed. And again, it's because I think they were mad because of the election in 2020. So they've been waiting on 2024 and they showed up.
And any sense on your part that there's a glitch or a blip in your resolve or your sense and your kind of like your sense of work with the different communities you work with? A little bit from the heart. Where are you at right now?
Prayerful. I don't think I think some of the groups who think they're going to be so vicious, to harbor so much hate wears on you physically and mentally. And to me, it's going to diminish how long you're on this earth because our bodies weren't wired to ingest so much hate. And I think it's going to wear on people if they try to keep that for 4 years. I don't think it's sustainable. And then I look at it this way too. If you just want to be all white, it's just like a salad. All you are is lettuce. Whereas on our side, we got lettuce and carrots and cucumbers and tomatoes and strawberries and mandarin oranges. And that's what this multiracial salad looks like. So over there is just lettuce. And sooner or later, you're gonna get sick of lettuce. And we're gonna see some creeping over because of this great tasting salad on the other side. So I think we just got to keep the party going, make those good salads, and just keep it going.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I will never forget that. Next time I eat a salad, I'm gonna add more stuff to it just because you said that.
But it's
Uh,
tastier.
it is tastier.
I
So, Miss
love
Faye,
that when you think of us, everyone on this call, spread the word. When you think of us of a good salad now, it stands for democracy.
that's right.
Per Miss Faye.
So yeah, so I just think evil is not sustainable for 4 years. And love is, compassion is, it's healthier. And at the end of the day, this is not 1950. And it's just I just think it's gonna be some challenges. But right now, Joe Biden is still the president. And right now, Kamala Harris is still the vice president. So I'm staying joyful until I got to deal with it on January 20th. I'm not watching any television. I don't want to hear his name, but I'm going to stay. And if I was Joe Biden, I'd be doing executive orders every day. You get this and you get that and and I would just be doing he has nothing to lose. So I'm sitting back thinking he's going to do all these really progressive executive orders, even though they're going to get undone. But why not? Why not mix it up right now for the next couple of months, just to throw another curveball into the mix that people aren't expecting? So I got all kinds of zany things thinking in my head. What can happen over the next couple of months that I'm gonna be joyful about?
And the Vice President, Miss Kamala Harris, is your soror sister, right?
Yeah, Shanita and I are sorority
Oh,
sisters
okay.
of the vice president of, we're in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And Shanita's going to shoot me for this one. But if you've ever watched anything with Latasha Brown, who's one of the co-founders of Black Voters Matter, she's got an amazing voice. So she tends to sing something to that's one of those freedom songs, a few bars. Shanita's got an amazing voice. And if you don't mind, Shanita, when you come on, just to give us just a few sentences, but I need it for me because I'm making it personal. I need to hear it from me because that's the piece I'm missing as a song. So whenever you get to Shanita, Dave, that's my request, and she'll shoot me later.
Okay, well, we're going to Miss Shanita right now.
Wait,
Okay, so
wait. I just want to say I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Sarah.
making that request for all of us. And then before we go to Shanita, was it Miss Faye, were you one of the ones who put together the calls for Kamala?
I was on the big call, but I didn't coordinate one, but I was on that big call for the
Okay.
44,000. So I've
Okay.
got the t-shirt and everything.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Miss Shanita Wiggins Winder, you are in Florida, so you're coming from a place that's been under the have been the bullseye for some time. How are you tonight? And
Oh,
if you feel so inclined, I do believe that people would love to hear you. Yes.
okay. The one that comes to mind, Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom's lane. I'm gonna leave it there. And that one resonates so much with me because, yes, I was on the plane last night. I left from Arizona about 11:50, boarded the plane, headed to Atlanta, watching CNN and just the resonation of what I was seeing, like, okay, we still got a chance. We can still do this. And by the time I land in Atlanta, it's official. You can feel the energy in the airport. So mindset was, I got to deal with 4 years of this. So yeah, I was in a mode and feeling surreal and questioning how so many demographics, as Faye was saying, voted for this type of negativity. And in my mind's eye, for me, when there's something that happens that shift, I have to shift with it to keep from going down that rabbit hole. So I have to say my CP community, I love you guys. I know you and Dr. Terry's ears should have been burning because every chance I get, I was talking about the educators forum and the trips that we go on. But I feel like we've come to a space. We were brought together for this particular moment right now. I sat in the room and I shared this with the some of them that were there in Arizona. I was the only person of color in this room. And for the first time sitting in this room, I did not feel uncomfortable because of the community, because of the people in the room sharing the same energy, the same fight, the same grit, the same love. And it kind of shot me into the moments of what it was like during the civil rights movement when they mobilized together with different races and they felt each other's pain. And we felt that when we went on the learning tours. So for me, it was like, okay, this is where it is. We're not stopping. We're going to shift. We're going to pivot. And immediately my thing was, encouraging others was encouraging myself so that I don't keep watching it. And I've shared that I found with CP, with the community, I mean, the way that you all have taught us how to lean into that discomfort, that lean into the things that would be out of our comfort zone, really prepared me. It prepared me in a way that it made me use all of my little PTO days. My principal was like, okay, because I've been to Philadelphia twice. I phone bank for Virginia. I've been to Nevada. I was co-team lead for with Texas, of which we did sustain at least Vicente Gonzalez's seat. He maintained that seat, but it was worth getting out there and knocking on doors. And I feel like this is the moment that we don't, the real work begins. And so, and I was thinking of, okay, in 2 years, there's going to be another election. Let's start thinking about those seats. If we got to deal with him for 4 years, maybe we can flip some seats and take back the House or the Senate. And that's where my mind is going. What can I do? And then even the co-workers, of course, everybody's watching me to see my reaction today. And of course, I had on my Mothers of Gynecology, Michelle Browder. I had to go. Yeah, I went there. I went there today, you know, because it deeply resonates with me in so many ways. And as people were coming to me and asking, what do we do now? What are we going to do now? I said, well, we're going to start here in the community. You mentioned, Dr. Terry, about several of the women on the board. Well, we got one on the school board here, and they've already interviewed her on the news, and she's set out all these different things of what they're going to do on the school board with the K-8 setting, which we're in one of those schools. So my thing is, okay, do I need to get on a school board? And I shared with one of the teachers, I said, I don't know if they're ready for that, but I've done these type of activisms before, where I've had to establish lawsuits in education to fight for civil liberties. And that's what we have to shift. Start in your community. Find out in your community what you can do even there. We can pivot. We can pivot and think about the local elections. Even if we just educate people about how important that is, and to vote in the next election, not just every 4 years. It's so important. And when we educate people, and we can sit back and watch and see what color the wall's gonna be, because some colors gonna come out that I don't think a lot of people realize what they voted for. And in that moment, we'll be ready. We'll be ready. So if you have not gone on a learning tour, I think a couple of people mentioned they were signed up, and they were going to be going on, I think, the Alabama, Georgia tour. And so my thing is, go to each tour that you can get a chance to sign up for. It's not just enough to hear about these. And I share with my students, I want it to be a primary source, not just a secondary, to say that I've gone into these places and spaces, and to experience it with others that share in that same mindset is so moving. And you got two people, Dr. Terry and Dr. David, are walking books. I just marvel when I hear them, like, how do they remember all of this? You know, and they say it in such a way, it just draws you in, and it tells a story almost like taking you back to that moment in that time. We just have to be reminded that if they take it out of the schools, they can't take it out of us. If they start shifting and saying what they're going to start removing, and already they're talking about it here. And I think I teach at a private school, and they're already mentioning about pulling our kids are on scholarship. It's a STEAM school, but they're on scholarship. And they're talking about any private schools that are talking about teaching truth to history in this manner, they're going to start pulling funding. So I'm already talking with the principal, making sure that we are prepared for that, making sure that we are not going to allow that to come in. What can we pivot and do? So for me, it's finding out my immediate surroundings. What can I do here in my city to make a difference, regardless of him sitting in the White House? I live right here. And hey, that's where I am. And oh yeah, Texas, we have, I don't know if you can see because of the background, but yeah, we've been flagging it out. I just got to get my poll. The team that went to Texas, we gifted them with flags because we said we're going to take back our flag. I do not want to have to see a flag and feel intimidated about that flag, because that flag belongs to me too. We are the true patriots. And so, you know, make it personal. Make it personal. I know there was a lot, David, but
No, Miss Shanita, that's great. Thank you so much. I can't believe you have a Texas flag right there with you. Is that a U.S. flag, or that's a Texas
U.S.
flag?
U.S. flag. Yes. In the neighborhood I live in, there's a lot of flags, and it's indicative of Trump supporters. So, yeah, with the team we were on, we bought flags for our team as parting gifts, and they have been hanging them. And matter of fact, I think Rich is on here. He said his son saw it. He is, and went and bought him one. Mary, she grabbed one. So we just have to let them know, you know, they don't control that part. They may control some things, but they don't get to control that.
Thank you. there's a question that came through from Kathy about the learning tours. The Institute for Common Power that Dr. Scott heads up and offers lots of teaching in our organization and includes the learning tours, will be putting out a plan for the first part of next year, next week, right, Dr. Terry? Is that right?
That's right. So we are going to be unveiling a few months at a time part of our curriculum that we're calling, well, I don't even know if I should mention it, but it feels appropriate. Our democracy curriculum. That's going to include workshops and lectures and courses and everything that helps us understand our modern world and pushes us from education to action. And part of what we roll out will be some options for people to join the learning tours. And so you'll have all of that coming by the end of next week. We're looking forward to it. We don't, like I said, we fall, we get up, we keep going. And that's how we stay in community. That's how we make sure that we keep moving forward as a group, as everybody together in common power.
And Terry didn't wake up this morning and say, let's have a democracy curriculum. Mm-hmm. Terry and our institute have been working on this for a long time, ready for this moment in time. The pieces to have them in place so that we could share them with you all. That's the kind of leadership and foresight that is part of this leadership team. And I'm going to come to you, Charles, because we got to begin to wind down, and I know you have a few more things. But that's the kind of leadership that Charles you exhibit, but you also demand of us. Is like, we're not just here for today. We're here for the next year, the next 5 years. All right.
Yeah, and that's one of the, I mean, I always think about these moments where things come to a head because we've always been cooking, it's not a single view organization. While we were working on field work, you didn't see, Terry for part of that time because she was working on what comes after that. And there's an evolution of field work that's coming around the corner at the beginning of the calendar year. And Action Academy is going to kick off invites for the summer cohort right in the beginning of the year. So, this is a system. You're going to see it. You stick with us. You're going to see it, unfold in front of you. I wanted to call on some folks that I saw. I saw that were here. And I'm going to kind of put them on the spot, but they're actually used to it. One of them is Donna Stringer, if she's still around. And then the other one is MJ. And I know that she's here. Mary, do you see?
I'm here, Charles. This is Donna.
Hey,
there.
Donna.
Hey. I don't know why I'm not. Okay. Am I on video now?
I think we got you.
Okay,
Miss Faye says she can see you.
I haven't been showing my face because I'm getting ready to leave the country at 2:00 this morning.
Okay.
Not because of the election. I was doing this as a celebration. So now I'm going to do it as a relearn to breathe.
Okay.
But it's been a tough day for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to, actually, this one's been a little easier for me than 2016 was.
Yeah.
I think at my age, I have to acknowledge that I am not likely to live long enough to see a woman of color in the White House, or a white woman, any woman. And I think, like others on this call, the reality of the racism, misogyny, homophobia, all of the isms that we're looking at it's really hard to accept that that's what our country is. So I told you in Arizona, Charles, that I had something I wanted to talk to you about. And I'm glad we didn't talk in Arizona, because since then, a number of things have happened that have expanded that conversation for me. So when I get back in country in December, I'm going to find a time, I ask you to find a time that we can sit down, because there's so many things in the last month, including yesterday and today, that are coalescing for me, that I'd like to share,
Okay.
and see what might come of it. And I posted something earlier today on Slack, and the gist of it is, you know, we may be down, but we are not out.
Amen.
I
Amen.
talked to a neighbor today who said he was giving me his condolences, and I said, no, I don't need condolences, man, because I'm just getting started.
That's
So,
right.
you know, that's where we are. We may not be there this very minute, but I can almost promise. And many of you knew Andy Reynolds, who simply said to me after the 2016 election, welcome to my world. And it's the world that has had to deal with this for generations upon generations. And so who am I as a white woman to feel like this was personal in some way? It's personal in the way that we need to get up and get back in the game. So I look forward to doing that with you and everybody else on this call. Thank you for doing this call tonight.
Donna. Okay. I you always got something that you're ready with. I really appreciate that. People need to know who you were before this one moment. And you have an entire history before I met you, or before you got active with this community. But
Yeah.
it's important that everybody knows that Donna and her group, P4, a local Seattle community neighborhood group, are the inspiration for what we do at CP. They started getting on planes and flying to swing states to go do work on their own. And that's the origin of the idea for this. So Donna's always held a special place in this community.
And
And
that included Ron Postema, who is
that's
the
right.
team lead for Michigan, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
He's a stalwart of that group.
He is. And so when Donna says she needs to talk to me about something, it's usually a really good suggestion or a critique that I need to hear, that then becomes a part of some programming. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say, Donna. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Take care. Travel
On-
home
You too.
safely.
On
Yeah.
Michigan, we didn't win with Trump, but Alyssa Slotkin is going to be the next
Yeah.
U.S. Senator out of Michigan. And we have been working for Slotkin since 2018. All right.
Right.
Yes.
Great. You guys are doing great. I mean, the leadership is awesome. And not just the four of you. I put
That's
a
right.
note in chat. My God, the young people in this organization are awesome. And the volunteer state leads. I know how much work that is. And some of them have just never quit. So thanks to all of you.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Donna. I'm going to go to MJ, but I appreciate you mentioning the state leads. These are people who, and if you went on a trip, you met them, you saw them live in person doing this work. But these are people who signed up for something that was going to take a lot of their time under Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the candidate. And then Kamala became the candidate, and it just expanded their responsibilities. The time it took for them to do the work, the volume of volunteers that flowed through their responsibility, it just expanded exponentially, and none of them quit. None of them quit. They kept going. So if you know a team lead, send them a message and thank them, because they did some of the toughest work for us as volunteers.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks, Donna. Take care. Have a good trip. We'll see you.
Yep.
I want to bring up MJ. Maria, you were on with us last night, and you held down the fort for David when he was with his family, and you allowed him to take some time and with them, some very necessary, important time with them. Those of you who know David and been watching his lectures, especially have seen his transition into CP from being a professor at UW, know about his story with his son after 2016. And so he didn't say this precisely last night, but him spending time with his son on election night with some more bad news was a huge deal. That was a big, 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 big deal. So the fact that you still did this Zoom, man, that was huge. And the fact that MJ had your back when you took those moments was very significant. So thank you for doing that, Maria.
I mean,
how you feeling?
whew, actually, it's really funny. I was drinking my wine and then you mentioned my name. I almost choked. I was like, oh shit. But last night, I mean, I didn't really do much. All I did was let people in and say, David will be back at 8:45. But it was an honor to be there last night. There was, of course, already, and we all went to bed feeling very devastated and woke up feeling devastated. It's been a roller coaster today. And I'm going to try my best to not, well, actually I shouldn't have to try my best to not cry because I feel good to be here with you all. But there's so much emotion. I shared earlier today in the Washington Action channel on Slack that I was there's so much trigger because I was in 2016 when Donald Trump won the first time. I was a DACA recipient, and it was just terribly it was just I couldn't really hold myself together. A lot of us couldn't hold ourselves together. I was in a room with undocumented youth like myself, and it was just crying and being together. The next morning I entered my school social work building and there was cookies and people were being together, and it kind of reminded me of today. But and then I woke up and I was like, this can't be real. It's like a nightmare. But then I looked forward to today. I looked forward to seeing you all. And although I am no longer, and I would say prominent danger, because I am now not a DACA recipient anymore, I thought about a lot of people that are. And people in our very own community who are. And it is, I know how it feels, and it is agonizing, and it is terribly, it's just the worst feeling in the world. So I'm sending my love to them. And I'm scared, but I'm also hearing everybody tonight has made me feel so good. And Common Power has been such a special and really, really great, and I would say pivotal place in my life. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else today. I came back from Arizona on Monday. And last night when I saw my team in Pennsylvania from far away on Zoom, I kind of regretted coming home. But I also was happy to be home. It was weird. And I wanted to hug my colleagues, and I was happy to hug my cat and my partner, be with my brother. And I'm just here today to embrace all those emotions, because it's okay to feel scared, angry, happy to be here with you all. I don't really have, the perfect words, but I think that it's going to be okay because we're all here together. And for the people that have sent me messages of love and support, I really, really appreciate it. you know, it means the world to me. And I know I have a lot of people behind me and behind all of us. And that's what's keeping me going right now. And I see everybody on my feed and my Instagram. I tried not to be on social media today, but it was hard. And I just see a lot of abundance of love and people saying that we have to continue going. And my friends and the people I know are saying this is not going to defeat them. And that's what's literally the only thing that's holding me together, is that the strength that comes from a community. So I appreciate and love every single one of you. And I hope to see you soon in person so we can hug and remind ourselves that we're not alone. So I appreciate the space, Charles, and I appreciate everybody on this call, my colleagues. You all know who you are. I love you all, and we're here together, and I know we'll overcome. So thank you all so much for holding us today.
Thanks for defending Washington State, Maria.
Yeah, I
Maria,
think we're gonna. I think Marie. Yeah, Marie's. I try. Yeah, I think it was an honor to do that. You know, everybody kind of sees Washington as, of course, like a majority blue state, but you go east of the mountains and it's a completely different story, or you go southwest and it's a completely different story. And I was so honored to work with Teresa Mannix and Cynthia Putnam and Odalis to make a difference in those places. And I think in one of them we will. And unfortunately, I don't think Maria Beltran will make it, but I know that she's going to continue fighting and I will be right behind her. And I know Colin Powell will too. So I'm really
that's
hopeful.
right.
So thank you all who participated either in Eastern Washington or Washington with Marie Glusenkamp. I think we're going to take that win, and I'm really proud of us. And it continues. I know some people said they're going to go do some ballot carrying tonight. So thank you for the folks that are doing that. And yeah, I mean, the fight continues, and Washington will continue to also have to move forward as well. You know, we're still a lot of fight in us. So thank you all so much, and send you all lots of love. Thanks, Charles.
Thanks, Maria. All right. David, I know you want to wrap up soon. I got one more person. And I think that we could spend an entire evening seeing how everybody's feeling. And there will be time, you know, we got more time tomorrow. I think it's really important to give you somebody who immediately started thinking about what to do next. She's responsible for the design of the training of the teams that traveled, of the comprehensive, detailed back end that supported those teams. And as soon as the result came through, the wheels started turning for her, and she started to talk to me about what we could do next. And I'm not going to ask for that tonight. I don't think we're ready for that. But I do want to bring in Ben to talk about how she sees this season, how you view your team, and how you're feeling right now.
It's so strange because I almost feel like there's two versions of how I'm feeling. I think one of them is that about the election. I don't know, I kind of feel jaded about it. Like, or maybe in the way that like Miss Faye talked about yesterday, where it's like, you know, I got my armor on, right? Like, you know, you just gotta pick it up and go, right? And I don't know if it's because of kind of like how I see things or a part of my generation, but we don't know better than this, or we don't know the before of this. So it just feels more natural to keep going until we see something better. So I feel like the results were extremely disappointing. It was against a lot of what we thought was going to happen, you know, both the political experts, but also just door knocking, like being out there and talking to voters, you know, like being on the front lines, being on the ground, hearing these stories. It was not what I expected at all. So I guess a part of me is like, well, okay, what happened there, right? What happened there? And also, we were this close. Like Ms. Faye was talking about, we were this close, you know? And we're gonna talk a lot about like what we were missing and what some of the answers are or whatever the case. But I think back and I think about all of the news, the headlines, like so side by side, all of the record high voter registration, the fundraising numbers, momentum, the enthusiasm, all of that. I remember the headlines where thousands of votes in Georgia were being challenged and contested and people lost their registrations. I remember being in North Carolina where like thousands of people were purged off the rolls weeks before election day. And a bunch of Supreme Court cases that made voting or the ability to vote or the belief that voting matters that much harder. So I don't know. I feel like there's like a lot of different reasons why we are where we are. But I fundamentally believe that when we say that if we had a win, we could have pointed to policy and empathy and joy and all of that. And one of the key reasons why the other side could win is because they suppress, oppress, and cut down people. So that's just one thing. I think the other half of me though is thinking about like, all right, what are we doing? Because it's this field work, because we live in politics, because we work in politics, we don't get a lot of chances to try things and make it right. The team leads on this call, you know, like the trips that you lead, you get like 1, 2, 3 times to really improve and like, you know, make the next round go better. I think it's the same for elections. And depending on how many elections you have, that's how many points of data points you get to make it better. And we don't really have a lot of data points. I think about the fieldwork team, my team, Maria, Jessica, Puya, who spent the entirety of last year, not like the entirety of 2023, obviously, you know, working to build and win and all of that, but really using 2023 for 2024. Because if we started trying to figure out how to win in 2024, it would have been too late. That's what we're dealing with. So I think about what it means to succeed here, you know. There's a lot of organizers and a lot of people in politics whose jobs are entirely because if are only existent if they win, right? Like if you win a campaign or not, if you win an election or not, that's how you get a paycheck. That's how you keep progressing. That's how you build a career. And I am so grateful that Common Power is not that kind of organization. And we don't play into those industry standards. Because here, I truly believe that winning is not the only measure of success. It's why we're out there. It's the pathway to change that we believe in, but it's not how we measure the success or the health of our organization. So I was telling my team, and I wrote a little message to staff earlier today, that I think we lost, but we didn't fail. I think that the words that you all have shared, the amount of people still on the Zoom right now, despite it being 26 minutes over time or whatever the case, all the love that is shown in our Slack, all the love and support that we've done, like the staunch kind of determination to not fall to despair or to rage or to anger. That all speaks to me of us succeeding incredibly well. Whereas where there are pockets of people or individuals who have completely lost it, you know, we have turned to each other in this time and as a way of making it through. So I think we have been very successful in that, and we're gonna use that to keep moving forward.
I think folks are really proud of you and what you built. And they see it. They see it at work, they feel it, and they witness it on the doors and in those cars, the carpools with people. Well done. Well done. We're gonna round this corner, and I know I said not to put out any new ideas today, but I know you're cooking them. We're talking about them. Thank you for joining this. I know you're tired. We'll keep on.
Yeah.
David.
Larcy, I'm going to come to you to close us here in a second. As we, it's an honor to be in this community and to work with these colleagues and to work with all you volunteers. This is the apex of what I could imagine a small d democratic community looking like. Madam Vice President Harris said today that she's conceding this election, but she's not conceding the fight that fueled this campaign. And we stand with her and with everybody that has been fighting for this just and inclusive democracy forever. We will be back tomorrow night at 5 p.m. in our community meeting, and we will do a little bit of sharing like this, but we will also begin to share some of our initial thoughts as we start to look forward. Larcy Douglas, still in your car. Okay, still in your car with
darker
with Celeste with September. It's a Larcy and Terry and as great.
So
thank you so much. Bring us home, please.
Yes, I have shed tears throughout this whole event, and I could feel all of your heart. And I want to hold every piece of that close to mine, and that's what's going to get me forward. And also, like, I'm excited. I am excited to see where we go with this, because look what you all helped to do. You made this space so much bigger, and yes, our organization is going to think of ways where we can move forward. Each and every single one of you has a place in that. And we're thinking of all of you and how you are going to be an integral part of that as well. And that's what's going to keep this community solid in the work. And I love everyone's optimism and their analogies, salads equal democracy now, and uplifting our next gen leaders. And we've got more to recruit next year. We're already underway to get them into the fold. Terry's already thinking about all the different educators who are going to be part of this ecosystem as well. And I know all of you, if you haven't recruited everybody on your block yet, you're on your way. And every cousin who is probably someplace, another part of this country, is already also falling in love with this work and the community that you all helped to create. And that is the vehicle for change. And I said this in our last debrief yesterday, that movements have heartbeats And yesterday, the heartbeat of that movement was the pitter patter of your feet in those neighborhoods. And now the heartbeat of this new movement is all of us being in community together, moving forward, further together. Justice work is not easy. Justice work takes a lot of heart, and we have lots and lots of heart, and that's why this also feels painful and personal. But I want you all to remember the conversations you guys have had at the doors. There's little blueberries out there in tomato soup, and let's make those blueberries the ones that are known, because they are out there, and that's what's going to connect us. I'm going to leave you with this last story, because this was actually what made me cry. And I've held back the tears all throughout the night to keep strong for September. And even when she found out we didn't win, she said, "Oh, I'm sad then." And I said, "I know, baby, me too." But she said, "But we'll get them next time." And I said, "You're absolutely right." When we landed in Seattle, one of the flight attendants came up to our seat, and she says, out of the blue, "I just want to thank you." And I had no idea what she was thanking me about, but she said she had conversations with the volunteers that occupied that Alaska flight at 1 p.m. today back to Seattle. And there was rumor and word of who this person was sitting in 15B. That she had to come and thank me personally of the effort and the work that we did. And that moment broke me, because it was a random person out of nowhere, but there was enough people on that flight to say, "Please go make sure she's okay." And so whoever was on that flight, thank you. But you know what I did? She asked for a card. She said, "Do you have a card? Because it sounds amazing." And I didn't have one because I'm horrible at holding them. So I reached deep in my bag of all the things I had to bring back to Seattle, including a giant speaker and office supplies. I found a name tag sticky that says, "Hello, my name is," and I wrote Larcy Douglas of Common Power, and on the back a little note for her, and I wrote down, "The fight continues, join us." And that is the work that we're going to have to do, and that is what everybody did the second they were freed from enslavement, is they went and cultivated their network and cultivated their community. So if we need to pass those little stickies around in a sleight of hand off of a plane, in a sleight of hand off of the grocery store, we are coming full force, and the movement is there. MAGA who? They have no idea what's coming. So let's go.
Thank you, Larcy. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to play a little bit of music here as we head out. We're going to go forward. We'll see you tomorrow. You'll see us in the newsletter. You hear us, you're going to begin to see these programmatic pieces of information coming out. Thank you for tonight, everybody.
Night. I'm gonna finally go to sleep. 2 days. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Miss Anita.
When I find myself in times of trouble.